Democrats spent last year warning of the dangers of Project 2025.
What is the hell?
As you might recall, that is the conservative policy agenda that, despite being written independently of President Trump's campaign, the president has spent the first 2 months in office implementing a lot of those policy items.
Well, now Democrats are once again trying to take a page out of the GOP playbook, and they're reportedly working on their own manifesto dubbed Project 2029.
Okay.
The not very originally named idea is similar to Project 2025. It will be a ready-made policy agenda for the next Democratic presidential nominee. According to an article from the New York Times, the project's architect, former Democratic speechwriter and state party leader Andre Cherney, the biggest issue that plagued Kamala Harris's campaign last year was not poor messaging, like some in the party seem to think, but rather a lack of policy that wasn't tied to Trump. Cherney told the Times that the way he saw it, President Trump ran on his own ideas, but Harris only ran against Trump's.
Yeah.
And he said, quote, "The oldest truism in politics is you can't beat something with nothing."
Also behind the new and improved Democratic playbook are an advisory board on which are Neera Tanden, who served in the Clinton, Obama, and Biden White Houses, and Jake Sullivan, former national security advisor to President Biden. Those two names have led some to be skeptical of the alleged Democratic turnaround. Take a listen.
This would seem to be literally the same old gang trying to retread Democratic policies instead of a new set of tires on a new car.
You look at the debate they're having inside the Democratic Party, and they're saying, on one hand, they're warming to some of these policies that Trump has put out, no tax on tips, for example. On the other hand, some of them think they just have a messaging problem rather than a policy problem. When you have bad policy, it's very difficult to have good messaging. And so when they've had a very difficult time.
They have both problems.
I mean, with all due
at the
respect
same time.
to Katie there, I can't imagine any Democratic policy document that she would think was a fantastic idea. She's a fairly conservative commentator. That being said, I'm pretty skeptical of some of the membership of this group myself. It's a very, very Democratic establishment thing. I mean, Jake Sullivan, my criticisms of the Biden administration on the Israel-Gaza question, I have made many times here. There's no need to reiterate them. Neera Tanden is somebody who's very deeply embedded in the Washington DNC, world. I guess not that there's anything wrong with that. It just makes me rather skeptical that there's going to be any revolutionary or even evolutionary change from this.
I think that's right. We ran the headline at the Daily Caller yesterday. Democrats' Project 2029 looks a whole lot like their 2024. Right. And I think that really sums it all up.
Listen, guys, immediately start giving me some of the policies so I can either laugh at them or congratulate them. I need to know. So give me some examples.
Look, I think actually Cherney was right when he said that it wasn't messaging, it was policy. I mean, I think that's actually the first time I've heard a prominent Democratic strategist say that, which I appreciate. But yes, the advisory board gives me great pause, whether it's Neera Tanden or Jake Sullivan. You also have former New America Foundation president Anne-Marie Slaughter, who was the director of policy planning at the State Department under Hillary Clinton.
Even better. Gets better and better.
And then you have Jim Kessler, a founder at Third Way. He was a legislative and policy director for Chuck Schumer.
He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy.
I'm sure he is.
I'm not going to join you in booing him.
No, I'm booing Schumer.
Okay, fair enough.
And Felicia Wong, former president of the Roosevelt Institute, served under the Biden and Harris administration as vice chair of the Treasury Advisory Committee on Racial Equity. So yes, very entrenched Democrats, very establishment, have worked across administrations or on the Hill. I don't see some huge policy transformation coming from that group of individuals, as smart and nice as they may be.
Yeah, I wonder actually.
No, it's going to be the same old. And they think that is going to have the ability to basically go against whatever Trump is basically offering or any common typical Trump-like person. The problem is that you need to fix the overall messaging along with the policy, okay? Make make it less man-hate, I would say, and more so bring everyone together without focusing too deeply, specifically on people's identities and ideologies. I think if you were to do that, we would actually kind of go back to having like a viable two-party system in the United States of America. But in fact, that's not the case here. Instead, they basically run around for, finding whatever, niche subgroup is in the United States of America and basically force-feeding the niche subgroup to the entirety of the country.
Is the real purpose of this to try to keep the Democratic Party on a sort of center-left track that I think many people consider a bit watery and timid, because we'll talk in a subsequent segment about Mr. Mamdani in New York, who has energized the Democratic voters there and obviously beaten Andrew Cuomo. But there is a conflict going on within the Democratic Party and within left of centre circles generally right now between the more DNC type of centrism versus the kind of Bernie AOC, more confrontational and insurgent type of strategy. And a lot of these people are very obviously on the establishment side of that question. Now, look, I'm fine to talk about policy and to suggest that there can be policy that is honed there. I do think that part of the problem the Democratic Party has faced has been getting sort of pulled away from economic issues toward more identitarian issues. And so I think that there is opportunity in some of the, really, in my mind, quite basic things. Increase the minimum wage, be better at providing childcare, be more assertive about protecting health insurance, those kind of topics. But I'm not honestly sure. These people seem very ill-placed to come up with some particularly original idea. I think that's the wording.
I think your point about them sort of presenting to the Democratic Party, this is what we're doing, is a good one. I think that probably is a huge part of it. Is they want to get ahead of the progressive base, seeing the Mamdani win, going back to the retread of the Bernie critiques, which are all legitimate.
That's going to mess you up, bro.
And saying, look, we've never had a true progressive run for president under the Democratic banner. This is what we need. They're trying to
Really?
get out ahead of that, I think, and say,
I doubt
this
that
is
highly.
the true new vision. It's Project 2029. It's big, it's bold, it's beautiful. It has all of your favorite nonprofit former Biden administration officials. DNC, please
great.
help
More
us.
Biden.
I think that's a really good point. I think that probably is what they're trying to do.
I think it is, and I wonder if that more centrist thing is out of step with the times, because one of the issues that I have is that I think Democrats could do a much better job in recognizing a widespread public sentiment that the system is kind of crooked and isn't really working for people. And regardless of the party, when the people leading the party are very much part of that system, then that argument inherently becomes more difficult to make. You mentioned Bernie. I think one of the reasons Bernie has an authenticity in that respect is that not only did the DNC try to sideline him in previous times, he wasn't by any stretch a member of the party establishment, not even officially a Democrat, and had been a sort of fringe figure in American politics for years before his first presidential run. So that kind of a figure seems to me to have a greater capacity to authentically connect with that sense of dissatisfaction.
Yeah, and I think, the Democrats used to be more skeptical of experts and elites and authority, and
now they're nothing but
they've elevated a lot of those people to be the party bosses, which makes it difficult for them to have that sort of fight the power sentiment that they used to have maybe 30 years ago. When you brought up the point about them calling the system crooked, it made me think of this debate moment with Trump and Hillary in the first time he ran in 2016, which is when he was talking about the system being rigged, and I think it was Hillary who responded, "Well, how do you know that the system's rigged?"
Because I rigged it.
Because I use it.
I know, yeah. There was a whole Dave Chappelle bit about that, about how Trump was telling the truth in that moment. He was giving money to both parties and getting what he wanted.
Yeah.
He was therefore exposing the system.
Up next, why is Stephen...
All right, guys. So unfortunately, I definitely would like to know exactly what's inside of this Project 2029. It would definitely tell me the kind of like the future of American politics, let's just say this year. Like, what are the Republicans going to run specifically against this Project 2029 manifesto type of thing here? Because I read the Project 2025, I was like, okay, I'd say 40%. I was like, yeah, that makes sense, right? But something tells me that if the people that are absolutely kind of in charge specifically of whatever this Project 2029 thing is going to be, it's absolutely going to be a train wreck, bro. I'm probably not going to like any of it. I'm just going to be completely honest, guys. And we definitely kind of need to get back to the point where both the left and the right kind of have the ability to kind of sit down in another, like sit down in a room and actually be able to speak in a like a massively coherent manner, while delivering like logical points, but just coming from a slightly different ideology. I do think that the closer the parties can actually kind of become, the better for the United States of America, because I think that'll probably kind of represent the overall sentiment of the overwhelming American, right? Not just the like us, like, again, like niche subgroups of people, if that makes any sense here, guys. Like, that's how we can kind of get back to the two-party system, where it's not like, well, the presidential election is coming up, which side am I going to vote on? The same one I did last time. Guys, that's not really beneficial to us. That's just echo chamber type of group think type of thing. I think both of the parties need to get closer to the center, right? And we can then decide which policies make the most amount of sense. Like, that's how you galvanize the entirety of the country, right? More so than just certain parts of the country, if that makes any sense. Like, everyone needs to just get out of the echo chamber. That's the vibe I have. Guys, do you want to watch movies with me? I never actually thought to like promote it over here, guys. But if you guys do want to watch it, guys, we have hundreds of movies, and I mean hundreds of movies that we've reacted to. You guys can come watch them with me if you want to, along with many TV shows. Currently, we're working on the show Dexter, along with Vikings, and we have a lot of series that are already completed. But if you guys do want to watch it with me, the link is in the description. Everything's available at the second tier. But of course, if that's not your thing, guys, don't worry. Right? Listen, like and subscribe.